Hello all, RavExel coming back at you with 2018 League of Legends casting. That's right, here we are for the first casting session of the 2018 season. We're going to be diving into the EU LCS. It possibly might be the only time I come to this region, but uh, somebody that I know said that the comps were very interesting. So I'm going to take his word for it, and going to go ahead and do this game one and the 2018 LCS season. Here we have G2 versus Misfits. So let's see what these interesting comps are, and we're going to go ahead and cast some League of Legends here now with the different changes to ruins. So we're having the Comet and Airy, Aftershock, all these types of new runes set up, and really this is the week one. So in all different regions, so Chinese LPL is played, Korean LCK is played, and we're seeing all these new types of metas being developed. So players are still trying to figure out exactly what works and how, but we are seeing a lot of melee tank supports, and we are seeing a fair bit of carry top lanes in the version of Camille and Vladimir. So we're going to have to see what these teams do. But here we have on G2 Esports, we have Wonder, Yankos, Perks, Kjarnan, and Wadid. So a couple of all-stars there in Yankos and Perks. So we're gonna have to see how they show up, and playoffs, they were here at the World Champions. They upset a whole bunch of different teams, I believe, including SKT. And we have Alfari, Max Lord, Senex, Hansama, and Mixix or Mikix. Anyways, so we know this team: Hansama, Alfari, Max Lore, Sanux, all coming back, and they showed up very well, and they're going to be here in EU saying we belong. So G2 going up and picking Rise in the mid lane. So this is a champion that Faker was playing on LCK here in week one. I believe he picked him twice in the series against Africa, and he was doing very well, and it's one of his best champions. And in response, Misfits goes ahead and picks up the Lovers duo here in bot lane, Xayah and Rakan, very, very strong. And this is the Ardent, not the Ardent, the Relic Shield support meta. So you're going to see Relic Shield. Well, actually, possibly you're going to see Relic Shield on Rakan, but you're definitely going to see it on Xayah with Overheal as Ruin and Fleet of Footwork. And in response, we have Tom Kench and Sejuani. So very, very tanky team already from G2. They picked their mid lane, their support, and their jungler. So still their AD carry in their top lane. So they're probably going to keep their top lane for the last pick. And they're going to go ahead and try to get a counter pick. Galio's most likely going to be in mid up against Rise. So that's a fairly even matchup that Rise scales a little bit more so later on in the game. So next bans are Tristana and J4. So Misfits looking to squeeze the AD carry pool just a little bit more with Ezreal, Tristana, and Kalista all banned out. And then unusual pick of Ziggs. This must be for the AD carry, and it must be some sort of a pocket pick back when Ziggs was meta to go bot lane. So just not wanting to face that. They probably don't face anyone in scrims who does it. I know myself in my solo queue games here in 2018, I haven't seen a Ziggs in the preseason or now in season 8. So definitely a pocket ban there. So the Vlad, as I was saying before this game started, extremely meta. He's mostly going top these days. So more than likely, we're going to be having Galio mid, Vlad top, and still the jungler left to pick for Misfits. G2 is going to be picking their AD carry and their top lane here. Cho'Gath against Vlad is not a good matchup for Cho'Gath, so that's a counter matchup in the favor of Vladimir. So he's more playing for team fights in the mid and late game. Well, mid game, because Vladimir does scale that much better. and a hyper carry could be picked. They need damage. Right now, picking 4 tanks. I don't like the virus pick. I don't like it at all because you don't have enough damage on this team, and the Kog'Maw would have worked a lot better, or a Vayne, or a Tristana, or somebody that scales a little bit better than Varus. So most likely going to be doing the Rageblade build, but still I don't like it. So Misfits here picking up the Lee Sin. So I see what my buddy is talking about, and we have a hardcore diving team from Misfits with escapability from Rakan and Xayah, as well as Vlad, and then G2 just picked a really hardcore tank team and a counter engage team. Basically, Tom Kench, Cho'Gath, and Sejuani can all delay the fight and tank and be able to turn something underneath tower with Tom Kench being able to devour or all the many CC abilities that Sejuani and the rest of G2 bring to the table. So very interesting. I'm going to be excited to cast this. The first cast for the new ruins and well, no longer masteries. So I've been playing a fair bit of solo cube and watching a little bit of LPL and LCK. So seeing what these guys are doing. Probably going to be doing an LCK cast next. So here we have everyone at the different lanes, and you've got to give the experience advantage to G2, but Misfits is got the confidence factor. So really, it's anybody's game. Teams are fairly even, though I'd have to say that Misfits picked more of a meta team. So so I have to give the comp advantage to Misfits. Like I said, G2 doesn't have enough damage. Varus was not the right pick for this comp, and I'm going to go ahead and make a prediction and say that Misfits go ahead and take this win. And I have no idea how this ends. I don't know how long this pause is going to be, but hey, this happens in real life. There's pauses, there's technical issues. This is what one of the skills is required for when you're doing live casting. And as someone who's done a lot of live casting events, and quite frequently with my co-caster, Mr. Gold, you got to be able to keep a conversation going, and you have to be able to have meaningful discussion. That's not that the crowd is not going to get lost on. No, normally you're not casting to the crowd. Sometimes you are, but definitely for the recording, like you're just not going to want to pause the recording and then pick it up when the stop is, because that's not what's done here in the professionals. So if you want to be a caster, this is part of it. And as we've seen in LCK, the first week, there's a hell of a lot of pauses, including one for 1 hour. I believe the cast was going to 2 o'clock in the morning on that first week, on one of the days, the day that SKT was facing Afrika. And so Papa Smithy and his co-caster, I'm sorry I don't remember the name, were nearly going delirious. And Papa Smithy was having to cast. He was still casting, and was saying that he'd have to cast in 14 hours from now. So just an 8-hour sleep, and then right back at it. A true professional. Definitely has taken over the reins for Monty here over in the LCK region. A little bit of trolling that's going to be happening, but let's take a peek at the ruins, and if we can see anything that looks unusual. Nothing too unusual in the build. We have Rise starting that Mana Crystal, wanting to get the tier as quick as possible. You normally like it around the 3 or 4 minute mark. We're going to have to see when that is purchased. Then we have 3 hourglasses here, the stopwatches on each team. So something that we also saw quite a bit of in the LPL this week 1 was a very, very high amount of stopwatches. But here we have Vlad, and we already know he's going Unseen Spellbook, because he starts Smite to give Max Lore in the jungle here for Misfits an extra strong leash on red. And Vlad's just going to head right back up to top lane. You don't need the summoner for when you're in lane. And then when he heads back to base for his first buy, he's going to go ahead and switch that up for either teleport or ignite, depending on how the lane is going. And it's something you're seeing a lot of. 2, sometimes 3 unseen spellbooks. I remember one of the games I saw with 3 unseen spellbooks on one of the teams. I don't remember if they won or lost, but these pros are picking this very versatile rune to be able to increase your summoner's cooldown by 25%. And, you know, 25% shorter cooldown time for teleport, flash, and these other very, very key abilities and summoner spells is quite an advantage against your opponent. So far, we have a slight farm lead from Xayah. The Rakan versus Tahm Kench matchup, you have Rakan that's able to engage a little bit better, as you just saw, but Tahm Kench does have the superior tanking as well as the more defensive abilities. So there's not really any sort of major advantage in lane. If you're going to give any a little advantage, probably give it to Rakan, but in the mid and late game, Tahm Kench definitely holds his own with that Devour ability. Although, who's he going to have to devour other than Varus? Like, really, everyone else can hold their own. Maybe Ryze. That's about it. Cho'Gath and Sejuani are definitely going to be able to tank for themselves. Just a little bit of a missed gank there, and that was stopped by Perks, who was able to get the W down onto Xenox to be able to stop that gank dead in its tracks, being able to lock up the Galio before any sort of damage or follow-up was done. And there the graphic is Jankos versus Maxlore, who's going to be the best jungler. These are 2 top 3 teams from last split, so this is why this is the match of the week. I was joking with my buddy about when I was looking at what match to watch today. I was like, do I watch G2 versus Misfits, or do I watch WE versus OMG? And I chose the LPL region to watch, but he went ahead and watched this series and said it was one that I should cast. So here we are. Thought, hey, instead of watching it, why not cast it? Here was the engage. We have Rakan being able to get the knockup. Tahm Kench going ahead with the green health, the gray health, not green health, and not quite dying. So being able to get out without having to use his flash. His ignite is coming up shortly. A little bit unusual for Tahm Kench to take ignite. You normally see the more defensive exhaust. And against this team, you definitely could see why an exhaust would be useful with Xayah, Lee Sin, and Vladimir. But then again, the ignite for Vladimir is also good, as well as the lane pressure. So both would have worked. Already back up to half health is Tahm Kench, and such is the advantage of the double relic shield run on bottom. The Rakan went ahead and did the AP support item, so it's actually something that I don't see ever. Normally they start the gold generating yellow item, so that's just due to the power right now of that item. Even mid laners and AP junglers are building the AP support item, which will be disappearing very shortly with the changes to the support items. No longer needing to buy Sightstone, and some of these support items are going to be changing up. So a lot of exciting news, and although I'm normally skeptical when Riot changes these things for support, I normally prove to be wrong, and they prove to be good changes. So I'm optimistic now because they've been successful in the past, changing the game for the better, and I got a feeling that they're going to continue doing that. This is their make it or break it a year. This is franchising. About half of the major regions are franchising with all sorts of endemic corporate sponsorship. Tahm Kench getting dove. Going ahead and dodging the skill shots is Tahm Kench. Gray health is coming out, but it's not going to be enough. First blood going over to Galio. Galio is going to fall over to Ryze, but first blood is well worth it, getting that extra gold bonus. And we're going to see what Galio going to purchase. Looks like the Spectral Cowl to go with the second Doran ring. Already 4 control wards purchased from Misfits. And this is the difference. Look at the difference between your games at home. How many control wards are purchased at 7 minutes? Because here in this pro game, there was 3 that was purchased by the support, and 1 from each of the other people that went back. So the shield going down for Kench, and even though Lee Sin was missing the skills towards him, Galio with the ultimate at level 6 being able to secure it, and he knows he's dead at this point, just leading them off back as far away as possible from his team. Rise does have his core with the Catalyst purchase, so both mid laners very, very happy from where they are at the moment. Cho'Gath is going to want to start stacking. He's just going to refill his mana a little bit. He is level 7, so he should have about 1 stack so far. Gonna look to try to have 3 or 4 by the time these team fights start. CS still in the lead of Misfits. Hansama doing a very good job, up to a 13 CS lead. So it's enough to be able to pick up that BF sword on her first back, and that has a damage advantage over this virus with just the pickaxe and a couple of attack speed daggers. Yankos looking to harass over at blue. It's not really a blue that Maxlore and Lee Sin needs, but he would like it if Galio could pick it up. Just going to go ahead and farm Krugs while they're dancing around that. Meantime, Hansama still with a 12 CS lead, 78 in 8 minutes 40 seconds, extremely strong. It's where you want to be at. Also in that regard, look at Cho'Gath at the top lane. Catalyst with the Magic Resist Cloak. You wonder if it looks like he's going to be going for Righteous Glory, if I were to guess, as a first item. But building a little bit of Magic Resist in the meantime. Another pause happening, and this happens. This happens. It's normally for a very small reason. The fans were particularly annoyed last year, so it was in summer 2017, the summer split, because a number of EU players were going to the bathroom during their games, and it happened something like 3 times in one game, and the fans just were exploding on Reddit and were just saying, okay, enough is enough. Like, you know, is this some sort of tactic? Like, it's making these games nearly unwatchable, which, haha, the joke is for EU, it is nearly unwatchable, ha ha ha. Already, but you know, with the bathroom rings, it doesn't help. I can't say that I'm too excited for this EU season. Not really anything interesting. They lost 5 or 6 really good players to NA, including Power of Evil. A little bit of controversy there. Power of Evil wrote I believe it was a tweet longer, to try to explain himself, and then ended up putting fuel on the fire. This did not handle it that well, and you know, people are calling him sellout. You know, whatever. You know, he wanted to go to NA. NA is in franchise. EU is not one of the leagues that's franchising this year. They're along with the Korean region are going to be in 2019. They're going to be going ahead and moving on with franchising, and so some players have left, and that includes Korea. A number of players, most notably Huni, coming down over to North America, probably for a very, very large paycheck. I imagine some of these players like Huni, Power of Evil, that are switching regions and going into NA, they're making anywhere from between $500,000 and $1 million for each year, and these guys are often signing for 2-3 year contracts. So you know, people might insult them by calling them sellouts, but hey, you're in a profession. You're in the profession to not only, you know, win and to be excellent, but also to make a living. And these players only have a very finite amount of time on how long they can be playing. Right now, that year has not been reached yet in League of Legends. We're seeing players well into their 20s be successful. But if StarCraft is any barometer, now you can make the argument they're very, very different games. But in StarCraft, there were very few players in their 30s that were able to continue into their 30s, at least not in the top echelon. There would be some, maybe that would crack the top 20, but we're not talking about, especially later on, top 5 players in the StarCraft scene, Brood War, that were over 30. And here we go. Starts heading back. We got 9 minutes on the game timer. Rise with a nice 22 CS lead here in mid lane. Perks is very, very happy just being able to start this game off right, and he's going to be able to scale more than just about any other champion. Possibly only Vladimir will be similar in the late game scaling. Wonder trying to pick up the knock up on Vlad, but frankly, I thought Vlad was going to do a little better. So it just speaks to how good Wonder is playing right now in the top lane with this Cho'Gath, and I would have thought, at least in my games, that Vlad would have been able to keep a little bit of distance and be able to poke Cho'Gath off of the CS. But once Cho'Gath gets enough resistances, then there's not really anything you could do because you're not doing any damage to him. And he has a fair bit of gold at this point. He's been sitting on this catalyst for a while. I imagine he's going to wait till he can buy his next item, which I think is going to be Righteous Glory outright. He should probably go back now. He just pushed the wave. There he is. He's going to buy. And let's take a look at what he's going to be bringing into this mid game. Because starting now, he does have TP up. This is going to be the mid game. Nope, deciding to stay back in lane. Does not want to get this lane, this wave pushed out onto him. Going to use as much as he can to push that in as quickly as possible. Now he's going to head to the brush and head back. Smite fight. That being picked up by Jankos. Just a large jungle creep. Nothing that is game changing. But Lee Sin up 10 CS, and Sejuani being able to also have that assist. I don't know if they're going to be able to pick up this kill on Galio. That's the advantage of Galio, is that he's so tanky that he was just hit upon for the last 5 seconds, and really it was only brought down to half. He was hit afterwards to bring him down to a quarter, which you see him now, but that Spectral Cowl and the Null Mantle, as well as the Magic Resist Boots, are plenty. Now he's going to be able to buy some more. No, he was just going back to heal, so he did not have any money left. He's a little bit behind where the Rise is. Rise picking up that Abysmal Mass here at before 12 minutes, and he's going to have a much larger power spike right now compared to a Galio that does not have a completed item and only has upgraded boots. So I really like the ability of Rise to be able to poke out either Hansama or Maxlore here in the next team fight, maybe even the Rakan. I don't know how to pronounce this name. Milix? Mikix? I don't know. I'm going to have to listen to the cast and see what these casters are calling them. But again, I don't watch EU LCS. It's probably the only region other than LMS that I don't pay any attention to. So, 3 regions is enough. I'm not going to try for a 4th region, but look at the first game I'm casting. It's EU LCS. Here we are, game of the week, G2 versus Misfits. Both teams went to playoffs. That's why I'm interested. These are notable teams. These are teams that at least one of these is going to make it to Worlds, and be able to cast a team going to Worlds is generally what I want to be doing. So happy to cast these players. Honestly, Misfits was the darling for the Western teams, and they gained a lot of fans. And when franchising comes next year, it'll be very shocking if Misfits is not one of among the teams that were picked simply due to their consistent ability of late. You never know how financing is, how Misfits organization is involved in other esports. I know they're involved in other esports. I'm not sure which esports. Here they are with the dive. TP going ahead and getting the tower aggro. We have Golden Rakan coming out, but that's not going to be enough. Rise being able to finish it off. Now at 2-0. Hansama picking up a kill on the backside. Going to go ahead and back to tower and probably back to base. Very timely fruit plant to be gotten by Galio, and he's just going to head back to lane and start trying to push that wave against the Rise, who picks up yet another kill, and he is going to be able to start possibly getting some damage. So let's see when he goes back and buys. It's been already a few minutes, and he's picking up a kill since he's been back, so we'll be able to at least build half of his next item. Blue, very useful, already at a quarter mana. The tier not stacked just yet. And here we're going to get a look at this team fight. I believe it was a 4-on-3, but Misfits pressuring bottom. Yankos on Sejuani coming down, gets the ultimate. Now we have all 5 members of Misfits on tower trying to turn it. They know Rakan is dead, and they're just going to go ahead and retreat back, not wanting to engage on a 4-on-4 under tower. So great defensive response by G2, being able to turn that. But I like the play by Misfits, and this is how the game is shaping up, is exactly how these comps are. We have Misfits with a diving comp, and G2 with more of the tank sustain comp, and we just saw it on that bottom tower play work out perfectly. And here G2 got the advantage on that. Rise probably wanting to hit an item point for gold wise, so picking up that CS in the jungle. Gold lead now only at 400 for Misfits, very even. Sorry, for G2, but Misfits does have that first Mountain Dragon, first tower going over to Misfits, so just 300 gold down. Again, they have the Mountain Dragon in their favor. I overall like their team comp better. They did just lose that engage there on bottom. We have Ocean Dragon here opened up, and Lee Sid not wanting to go on it just yet. Sejuani picking up the Scuttle Crab to get the vision. They have very good vision, G2 does. As you can see, a lot of advanced vision, a couple of pinks behind and in front of the dragon, as well as Scuttle Crab. So they're in great position to be able to push this, whereas Misfits is more in a reactionary pose. Perks being seen. Vlad is unsure about whether he wants to go to lane or not, and seeing that tower go down, he knows he can't save it, especially seeing that Rise there. There he just saw him go back into mid lane. Vlad should be able to head up and start farming. Second dragon going over to Misfits. Just, again, it was just due to the back, because Rise was having to back now in mid lane. He has probably at least 2,000 gold to purchase with, so he's going to buy now, and going up and upgrading that tier to Archangel staff is going to probably have that stacked in the next 4 or 5 minutes. Here at 17 minutes, 2-0-0, 194 farm at 17 minutes. All the gold is going to Perks, and as I was saying in Champ Select, definitely one of the stars of this team, and he's going to be looking to carry his team the way Faker does over in SKT, and what better than to take the signature Faker champ, well, competitive champion, which is Rise, but in solo queue it is his famous LeBlanc that terrorizes the LCK ladder year after year. Very exciting news. Apto/Dopa just got his indefinite ban reversed, and has his account already first place on the Challenger Korean solo queue. So within the first couple of days, he gets unbanned, and he's already back top in Korean Challenger. So Korea, not one of those regions that's franchising yet. Wouldn't that be incredibly exciting if Dopa goes ahead, finishes #1, it just acts like a complete boss over in LCK this year, not in the region. I mean in the ladder, like in their solo queue ranking, not in competitive because he's not part of a team. And then next year would have become a part of a team and go head to head against Faker. Wow, what a story! That is exactly where I'd want to be, and perhaps I'd be in a position to be able to cast or analyze, that type of matchup for anyone who's interested. But here, starting off the year, EU LCS, we have a 2-2 tie. G2 slightly up on the gold, and that's due to these great farm scores here by Perks and Wonder just being able to get good farm leads on mid and top. Big CS lead as well. Tom Kench over Rakan, and that's of course because of the Relic Shield versus the AP support item, and Rakan going Unseen Spellbook as well. So that's 2 spellbooks for Misfits and 3 spellbooks for G2. Now that I can see these ruins, so wow, G2 with a top, mid, and support all with Unseen Spellbook, and they're just swapping them around. Their summoner spell with Tom Kench going Revive. That might be the only time you see a Tom Kench go support and pick Revive, because he's got Unseen Spellbook and can go ahead and switch that anytime he wants when he goes back. Perks and Wonder sticking with the teleports, being able to get that extra mobility and get back into lane and get those CS leads like they have here in mid and top lane. So something that Cutie Pie has tried, and then it was also tried in Korea, I believe by one of the middle tier teams, where it was Unseen Spellbook Sivir, where you get teleport and you push a lane, use all your mana. She pushes like no other AD carry. Use all your mana back to base and then teleport back to another lane. Push that lane in, go back to base, teleport back to lane, and then you're able to get your teleport up 25% faster than you normally would, and you just put incredible pressure on the enemy team. And of course, Sivir in team fights is no joke, especially when you get 3 or 4 items and an upgraded W. Here we have Kench going ahead trying to make a play on bot tower. I wouldn't advise diving the Galio, but they're going to go ahead and pick up that second tier Tallow. Going ahead and securing that before putting any damage onto Galio, and extending that gold lead over to nearly 5,000. So it looks like 3,400. Though down 2 dragons. Next dragon coming up in a minute 35. It's going to be another mountain dragon. So going to give the possibility for Misfits to have 2 mountain dragons by the 23-minute mark. Of course, when you have 2 mountain dragons at 23 minutes, makes Baron very, very possible and likely, even with as few as 2 or 3 members, if you've got the right 2 or 3 members there. Just a little bit of a lull in the action. Teams know that dragon is coming up in less than a minute. Both teams are aware that Baron is up, so Baron being the priority, but Mountain Dragon's nothing to scoff at. If you can pick it up without a fight, or possibly getting it while winning a fight, or just causing the enemy to misposition in response to going there, you want to be picking up these dragons. And it looks like Cho'Gath is moving down towards the dragon. He could solo it if he had the time, but I don't think Misfits would give Cho'Gath just an infinite amount of time there on dragon, and that's not where he's going. He's going to head to bot lane. TP is up for both Vlad and Cho'Gath. Vlad's going to look to rotate towards dragon. Probably Scuttle is going to be very important in the next 10 seconds if it's not directly dragon. Lee Sin showing in mid. He's thinking about making a play, but does not have Galio. Galio's coming in. He's ulting in from the red. We have all 5 players of Misfits looking to dive in. Cho'Gath is bottom lane. He has not started his TP yet. We're having a player advantage for Misfits. They're diving onto the Varus. Varus not dead yet because of the Tom Kench, but being able to kill the Tom Kench, you are able to get the Varus afterwards. Stopwatch used by Perks and able to get away just under tower. That's the very famous combination where you start your ultimate as Rise and then you stopwatch while your ultimate's channeling, and it guarantees you to be able to escape that fight, but you can only do it once until you upgrade your hourglass. But he went ahead and bought the hourglass. I just meant you could do it once before as you have the stopwatch, but he already has it. Should have it up in about another 60 seconds. Re-engage here by the G2, but Misfits getting the better of it. G2 just wanted to stop the Baron play. Wonder flashing into the silence, but going ahead and going golden in the meantime. Hansama stopping the Cho'Gath on the back end of this fight and going ahead and trading over the Varus, being able to pick up kill onto Galio, and it's right now 3-for-1 in favor of G2. They're just going to look to try to clear out this vision, which is littered from Misfits. A good job from the support and jungler combination over in Misfits from getting all that vision. It's still extremely red, including 3 control wards with a whole lot of trinket and sightstone wards. This is the re-engage from Misfits. Yes, they're showing low damage, but they do have a 1-person advantage, 4-on-3, and yes, Perks is very, very large and in charge. Look at that chunk, just single spell. Wonder flashing in on that, not advisable when your team is that weak. He thought his team was going to be able to follow up, but Perks not wanting to give up another, well, he hasn't died yet, but not wanting to give up another kill to Misfits, and just a little bit of a feel bad moment, but Senex will be able to come back on the top of that. So this is still anyone's game. Wonder does have his chomp available, so he's going to use that, pick up another stack. He doesn't look like he has too many right now. If I were to guess by the size of him, he looks like he has about 3, maybe 4. It is still pretty early at 25 minutes, but not exactly where you want to be. He's probably saving his chomp for these team fights and trying to get finishes on Misfits. But the gold lead, not that noticeable. Only about 4,000 gold in favor of G2. That's, only about a completed item, maybe a couple of half items. Misfits do have a single dragon advantage with 1 mountain apiece and Ocean Dragon over in the form of for Misfits. This is the Baron dance. G2 has only lost 1 turret in the bot lane, so they're able to keep quite a large sphere of control in the mid and the top because they still have those tier 1 towers. So they're able to move out from protection, move up as a group. As you can see, Tom Kench is advanced a little bit into the jungle to try to get wards out. Max Lore on Lee Sin is making his way back. He's coming into mid lane. Wonder is starting to look bigger. Not using his chomp just there, so he might have already 5 stacks on his minions. That puts him definitely at least 6 stacks. Perks is what's holding G2 in this game. His Rise play exceptional. Sunux not necessarily attempting to win the lane. He's being a much bigger presence in team fights. He is getting Flame Horizoned in mid lane, but really at 346 farm in 27 minutes, that has to be a record for at least me watching League. It doesn't ever get bigger than this. I mean, this type of farm at 27 minutes. And already at level 17, and just compare that to Galio at level 15, Vlad at level 15. Not quite able to 2-on-1, that is Rise, but it's close. It's a little bit frustrating here for Misfits because you do have a dive comp, but really there's only 2 champions you want to dive, and that's Rise and Varus, and it's very, very difficult when you have a Cho'Gath Sejuani and Tom Kench Devour to have to deal with. Very important whenever you have zombie ward that you're the one who last hits the ward, and then that way you get that zombie ward out there. Many players in solo queue don't recognize that yet. It is part of the new ruins. And I have seen most players, they're just trying to get that little extra XP, that little extra gold, and they want to secure the minion kill for themselves. But if you have zombie ward, you really should be fighting for those. G2 protecting their mid tier 1, and they're going to have at least 4 there. Cho'Gath split pushing bottom. He does have teleport up. They could be trying a Baron call, but they don't have it scanned. G2 has perfect vision of this Baron. Very unusual that a pro team doesn't scan or doesn't use a control ward. But here we have Minix on Rakan starting the engage. Galio following up with the ultimate. Ryze is getting knocked out. He's very, very close to... Oh, just barely being able to get out with that ultimate. Oh, but Galio chasing him down, as well as the Lee Sin getting onto the Varus, and mental error from Galio thinking that Lee Sin had the kill on Varus, but not quite being able to secure that. Misfits went down 3-2. G2 getting the slight lead on this team fight, and this Cho'Gath just not being touched. He's too big. He's got Righteous Glory. He did go for that. He has the Abyssal Max, 2 on the team, and then being able to get that Warmogs really makes him unkillable at this moment, unless you have 3 or 4 members on him. And we're hopefully going to get to see a replay of that. This was G2 engaging on this fight, so hats off to G2. Very strange that Misfits would engage on this Baron without clearing that ward. And as you can see, a TP now coming in for Cho'Gath was going to be able to get in behind. Perks doing just enough to get out, trying to do some more damage on the backside, ends up getting killed, but ends up being worth it. And if Galio were to continue to chase the Varus, Varus would have been dead. He probably would have still gotten the kill on Ryze, but here we can see Hans Sama just putting hard carry performance here on Xayah with 4-0-3, 360 farm. He's not only keeping up with Ryze, he's eclipsing Ryze. Rakan doing just what you need to be doing as a support, making sure that your AD carry is a terror. Rakan getting engaged on and getting out before any sort of major damage can happen. Very important also when you're in solo queue to knock out that blast cone behind the Baron, because not every team has a Lee Sin. Big steal from Lee Sin, getting the Baron, re-engaged from Galio. They're going to be looking to take this fight. They took the Baron. Misfits going to peel back. It might be a little bit done for Galio. He used his E to get a knock-up. But still, only 2 deaths going over to Misfits, but in exchange for that Baron, Maxlore, big play there, and G2 is going to look to try to take a couple of towers down. Most likely, mid and top are going to be the easiest to take, but Misfits will retain the Baron on 3 members. So great job, Maxlore. Just went in on it, didn't have a high chance of getting out. But you know, just getting the Q in and not having that flash out, and getting a big Baron steal. Something I did today, being 4 levels down with Jungle Maokai, and somehow able to outsmite an Udyr. But here, Maxlore, similar level 14 than the Sejuani, and that's just good reactions and good play. Misfits still not being able to get that mid tier 1, but with Baron, they're going to be able to put pressure not only in mid lane, but in top lane. Large 2 waves for Vlad here in the top, and he's going to go and try to take that tower out, and just a pure outsmite by Lee Sin. Galio perhaps didn't need to come in, but just wanted to make sure that his, gave it a chance to do a re-engage. If they wipe G2 there, it very likely is going to be 3 or 4 towers at that point with Baron. But that doesn't quite happen. 2 kills go over towards G2. They pick up a dragon in the meantime. They have 2 mountain dragons. Engagement fight. We hear this is not what Misfits want. G2 fighting in their jungle. Misfits trying to turn it with the Galio, re-engaging. His ultimates have been really on point. Cho'Gath picking up the kill on Lee Sin, 5-1 and 6. Varus, another kill on the back end. Alfari is in a lot of trouble here. 4 members of G2 just ganging up on this Vlad, and there's really nothing that could be done. And right away, most of these Barons are now taken off, if not all of them. I believe that Rakan does not have Baron. So a 4-for-1, possibly a 5-for-1 if that was Rakan dying early in that fight. Or no, Rakan did not die early in that fight because he still has Baron. So he's just going to look to try to empower as many minions as possible. There's nothing he can really do to stop this inhibitor from going down. But he will want to re-engage when his team pops up. Both Xayah and Lee Sin are going to be coming, and they're going to want to put a little pressure on mid and then head top to stop that Rise from getting any more objectives than he already is. And G2 going to go ahead and rotate top to secure this tier 2 top lane turret. And now taking a very sizable gold lead at 8,300 gold here at the 35-minute mark. So G2 getting out to a sizable lead, and they're going to look to take over in this mid game. Rise is at his strongest right now at level 18, where no one else is at level 18 just yet. There's a good re-engagement by Galio, but just not enough damage, just too much tank. Look at all those health bars on G2. They're just stacked. And Varus never went down. Rise never went down. And, well, the other people are just too tanky to take down. So, great cleanup. A lot of experience there from G2. They are a premier team in the EU region, and they're showing why. They're showing that we finished ahead of you, Misfits, and even though we didn't do as well in playoffs as you did, we're still a better team, and this is why, and we're going to prove it. You're taking your meta team, well, not really Galio, but, you know, Vlad and Xayah, Rakan, and we're just going to play a whole bunch of tanks and Tom Kench and just deal with it. Varus only dying twice, has been able to get out a lot of damage, been able to clean up at 4 items right now, and Ninja Tabbies just letting loose in the back line. And when you have Blade of the Rune King and Rage Blade with a Hurricane, and if you're untouched, you're going to be doing some damage. Xayah with her first death, now at 4, 1, and 3. Still doing a lot of damage. Level 17. Misfits is going to look to try to get to level 18, get to some parity. Levels wise, that is. Both Cho'Gath and Rise at level 18. Very, very strong at this moment. Should be looking for an even team fight. They want a 4-on-4, they want a 3-on-3, they want a 5-on-5. Well, whatever they can get. They are winning these team fights. That tower would only tickle this Cho'Gath at this point. Now with Gargoyle Stoneplate. Galio doing a fair bit of damage to Rise. The Rise clearing that wave very effortlessly. 10,000 gold now for G2. This is their time to shine. Baron coming up in 50 seconds, Elder Dragon in a minute, Inhibitor in a couple minutes. All of these are objectives that they could be using to win the game. We're going to see what they're going to prioritize. I imagine it's Jankos who's calling the game. I'm not sure who the shot caller is, but I imagine with such an accredited, went to world champion, so experienced, continually year after year being considered a top jungler in Jankos. I imagine he's doing the shot calling, but again, don't watch EU LCS, so just speculating at this point. And when Cho'Gath is this big, you just need to ignore him. And yes, he has a true damage ultimate that can finish somebody from almost half health. Yes, he's got a silence. Yes, he's got CC. Yes, he's just a huge ass body, so it's hard to not target him when there's other smaller characters around. But you really can't do anything to him at this point, and you have to be getting that Rise or the Varus, and Tom Kench not leaving Varus's side. As you can see, They are neck and neck. He knows what his job is. There's 2 carries on this team. You've got to protect them. Pinging out, Baron with just barely not being able to go in there was Sejuani. And that would have been a pretty big deal, frankly, if Sejuani was able to get into that Rise ult. Not going to matter in the meantime. G2 being able to knock out that Baron very quickly. And that's a really good combination of Rise Ultimate, team communication, and 2 Mountain Dragons. So with all those factors, you're able to get a very quick second Baron. No, sorry, that was a second attempt. Maxlor stole the first one, but it was an Elder Dragon for Inhibitor and Baron take. So Misfits does not like that. They didn't really have much of a choice. They were not able to respond to Baron quick enough. They thought they would just trade Dragon for Baron, but it ended up being a lot more than that. Really good move by G2. Great movements around the map. And this is a world-class team for a reason. Yes, they often don't perform in All-Stars. Yes, they don't perform in Worlds, but in their own region, they are Kings of Europe for a reason. And it's going to be really interesting to see how G2 faces off against Fnatic. Maybe that'll be the next EU LCS game that I cast. I'll try to say it. I'll try to hold to it. I will try to cast G2 versus Fnatic whenever they face at any time in the season. Misfits started the game well. It was close. They were down 3,000 gold quickly, but had the first 2 dragons. So they chose dragons over the gold lead, but as the pro teams tend to do more than my solo queue games, they value towers and pressure more than dragons, other than a fertile dragon. The other 3 they don't value. They value towers and pressure. Map pressure. So, yeah, dragons are flashy. Yes, they're an objective, but gold buys items, and experience gets you levels, which gets you stats, wins team fights, wins games. Really, it just comes down to that. And as the dragons are, it seems like dragons are in a good position. Everyone's really happy with the dragons. You remember when dragons only used to get you gold? Back in the day, that's what it was, just gold. Now, all kinds of, really interesting, neat abilities. Maybe the Wind Dragon might just need a tweaking, but there's certain comps that Wind Dragons are very useful, like poke comps. So G2 looking to finish this game off. They have 2 inhibitors. Rise split pushing top. There's really not much Misfits can do. As soon as they send somebody back, Perks is just going to leave. They might not even get the chance with Tom Kench using the ultimate to get back up. They're going to knock out both Nexus towers, which is what the goal is. Even if Rise were to die, and possibly even a team fight were to be lost here, it's still Misfits in a very dire situation. G2 is just going to look to get whatever kills they can, push the wave. They already have super minions baroned up on the Nexus, and with those last final kills, Perks increases his scoreline to 4-1 and 11. Yanko's at 3-0 and 13, and Wonder, a very, very convincing Cho'Gath game. He was just ignored for the last 10-15 minutes of that game, and really, that's what you're supposed to do. But when you're ignored as a big Cho'Gath and you secure dragons, you disrupt the team, you're that impenetrable force that your team requires, then you're doing your job. And I didn't like the matchup against Vlad, but at the highest level, if you're good with your Q, if you're really good with your W, if you do that auto attack animation canceling with your E, we used to be able to do that. I guess it's changed now. Been playing Cho'Gath for a while. Here, these guys know each other. Hugs all around. He's like, "What are you gonna do? You want a hug? You're gonna shake my hand?" They didn't want a hug. You could tell that. Possibly they're competitors at the same position. I kind of like that. Believe those were 80 carries. So I like to see a little bit of that. They're competitive. There's Ocelot with his team G2, and wow, what a great transition from star player. He was the most popular player in the West, season 1, season 2, and he's now transitioned to having this G2 franchise, just being really the kings of Europe, dominating locally, getting real strong teams into international events, but unfortunately they're not performing. But great job by him, and I love casting this already. With two or three stops, not very much EU experience, and here we have it. And no, this is not RavExel here on the desk, but here he is on the mic. And 2018 is going to be a glorious year, and I can't wait to keep casting.